One after another, the hours ticked by, silent witnesses to the deep darkness. Being alone in the city at night made him feel like a character in a horror movie, where every rustle could mean something supernatural. Michael was returning home after a late shift at work, when the streets had long since dried up from the previous day's rain. He always liked the city at night, but this time he felt a strange chill in the air. He was in a hurry, walking down the streets, when he heard someone else walking behind him. He looked behind him, but there was no one there. The door of his house opened quietly, as if by itself. He went in, washed his face, and decided to prepare something to eat. When he was in the kitchen, he could hear a light cry coming from the distance. He stopped cooking and turned his hearing to the maximum, but the crying disappeared like a raft in the darkness. When he went into the bedroom, he saw his shadow reflected on the wall, but it was bigger than it should have been. He turned off the light, but the shadow remained, now moving on its own. Michael watched in confusion as the shadow burst out of the wall and took on the shape of a man. The indefinable figure said to him in a soft voice, "You are not alone. We are always here at night." Frightened, Michael tried to run away, but felt his body move with difficulty. The darkness swallowed him up, and the voices of crying became a huge echo in his head. The next morning, his neighbors found Michael in his house, but there was nothing left of his soul but a terrible memory of that night. His body was cold and his eyes were filled with fear. Since then, the city has been turning into an abyss, where loneliness at night causes darkness to arise, and it, in turn, always attracts those who are alone in the city at night to disappear into the eternal darkness, leaving traces of their fear. After those events, the city became known for its mystery and the nickname, City of Eternal Darkness. People avoided the streets at night, and residents locked themselves in their homes to avoid terrible accidents. However, despite this, every year several innocent souls were lost in the darkness. One day, a scientist with a great interest in supernatural phenomena appeared in the city. His name was Edward Collins, and he decided to study this phenomenon. In a small local museum, he found an old journal where local historians recorded events known in the city for many centuries. He learned that the darkness had once been summoned here by a group of experimenters who wanted to gain power over time and space. Their explosive technique went awry, and now it formed a large dark zone that affected the city. The scientist decided to reveal the secret of this phenomenon. Edward made an effort to delve deeper into the research, studying archives and asking local residents. The search led him to an ancient monument in the center of the city, which turned out to be the place where the whole disaster began. He began excavations and discovered a strange artifact, an ancient rune that had the ability to link time and space. Deciding to take a chance, Edward used his knowledge and skills to activate the rune. At that moment, the stars appeared in the sky, and the darkness disappeared, receding back. The city woke up from a long nightmare. However, when Edward returned home, he noticed something strange: time was flowing differently for him. For the city, only a few minutes had passed, but for him, several years had passed. He found himself a stranger in his own time, and a mysterious rune left him abandoned in a world where he witnessed future events that he had to unravel to save the city from a new nightmare. Edward laid his hands on the ancient runes, trying to unravel their message and figure out how to save the city. Over time, he uncovered the secret of what had happened in front of him. The runes told of an ancient legend where evil forces awaken once every 100 years, and only a brave scientist can stop them. During his further research, Edward learned that he had become a timekeeper and had the ability to interact with timelines. He mastered the magic of runes and gained power over time, but at the same time his own time became unstable. To save the city, Edward had to travel through the time gates, uncovering secrets and facing trials in each era. With each new secret he uncovered, he gained strength and wisdom, but his own time continued to slip from his control. Finally, in a deadly battle with a great calamity that had lost its way, Edward realized that he needed to give up his own time energy to keep the calamity at bay. He took a huge sacrificial step, giving up his own existence to stop this threat. The city woke up from the darkness, but Edward was missing. His name became a legend, and everyone began to know the name of the scientist who sacrificed his time to keep the peace at night. His deed became a symbol of courage, dedication, and sacrifice, and his name sounded like something from the past, recalling a time when the city was on the verge of losing its light. After Edward's disappearance, the city went on with its life, but the memories of the scientist who saved him remained in people's hearts. That terrible night was ancient history, but a new threat was coming from far away. The city began to experience strange events at night again. Those who did not remember anything suddenly witnessed strange phenomena similar to those that had happened before. People showed unusual abilities without even realizing it. In the midst of this confusion, some mentioned the name of Edward Collins. His sacrifice and the magical abilities he possessed left a legacy in the world. Time itself seems to have begun to intertwine, and the scientist's presence was felt even after his disappearance. Meanwhile, some of those who had changed in an unusual way began to show strange commonalities. They found each other and realized that they were united by something more than just mysterious events. This group of people decided to join forces to unravel the mystery of what was happening in the city at night. They realized that the similarities in their abilities could be the key to unlocking a new secret salvation for the city. New mysteries of time and secrets related to the past were coming to life again. The group witnessed how time and space intertwined, creating strange phenomena that could only be solved together, using their supernatural abilities and shared experiences. Among this group were those who decided to continue the legacy of Edward Collins, risking their own time and lives to save the city from a new darkness. Their mission was to uncover the mystery that was hiding in time and stop the excessive power that became their common challenge. The group, united by mysterious events and their extraordinary abilities, began their journey through the time gate. Each step of the way, they were getting closer to understanding what caused the new threats. During the journey, they met different eras, where it turned out that the runes used by Edward Collins had a huge impact. Attempts to mix time and control it led to an unexpected surge of energy that spread through all layers of time. A struggle began with those who tried to use this energy for their own beneficial purposes. The group managed to identify a shadowy magician who sought to gain control over time and used it for his own needs. It turned out that his influence came from the past, and his plans were harming the present city as well. The heroes began their final battle, where they used their unique abilities and shared wisdom to stop the darkness that was trying to take over time. During the struggle, the centuries-old mysterious wizard turned out to be immortal, but the heroes decided to turn to what was most valuable in his life, his own time. They used their knowledge to damage his time continuum and thus bring about his end. The magician disappeared, and the darkness that had been fading in the city rose up, as if evaporating in a time train. The city returned to normal life, in a different, but no longer dark way. The heroes, having completed their mission, realized that time is a great gift and must be respected. They went to different eras, leaving behind peace and security, but the memory of how they saved the city from the darkness of time together remained alive in their hearts.